my goodness. Welcome, everybody. I am so excited that you are here today with the community at eXp Realty. We are so pumped about today's speaker. Unbelievable, top producing real estate agent, coach, trainer, and just an awesome guy. Killer salesman, and you guys are going to learn a lot today. We've been talking about what is it that agents need right now? Like, what's the diet? What's the diet for success? Right? And there's no one better to present this. If you guys don't know Jason Giles, he is an unbelievable leader in the industry. He's been growing a huge organization at eXp Realty, really helping agents, creating an impact. And Jason, I'm so excited that you're here today because you've just been sweeping the leg of real estate in the mid part of Oregon on the West Coast for a while, but to make an impact across the entire community and to help a lot of agents. I really appreciate you being here, man.
And I appreciate you you calling me and seeing if I could jump in and do this for many reasons. One is, it's becoming comfortable with the uncomfortable. And that's where we're at today. So we're going to have some fun with this and get involved.
I love it. Well, I've opened up screen sharing on your end, so I think we're good to just jump in. And for those of you who haven't joined us on one of our Core 90, by the way, Core 90 is concepts of real estate, 90 minutes. Our whole philosophy here is that this call is for you. It's designed to help you build your business. If you have a question, you don't have to raise your hand. You're welcome to. You can use the hand raise function. You can also just unmute yourself and be like, hey, I've got a question. And that's awesome. We want you to feel like you're a participant and like we're all in the room together. It's the nice thing about being on these Zoom calls. And we appreciate you joining us today. All right, Jason, I'm gonna get out of your hair and let you rock and roll, brother.
All right. Hey, thanks a lot, Jeff. Appreciate that. Good morning, everybody. This is going to be exciting. This is something that, we knew we were going to be doing with the community coming in and pouring into agents from all over. It's exciting because my wife and I, we've had a chance to start helping agents, not just in our local area, but in different states and just kind of all over. I'm going to encourage everybody today to jump in, to get involved, to put questions out there, to raise your hand, because the things I'm going to go over, I talk to a lot of scientists and when I'm talking to them, they say, Jason, I don't know why you're talking to us about this. I said, well, isn't this stuff rocket science? They said, no, it's not. It's just the daily tasks that we should be doing as real estate agents that, sometimes we forget. And the reality is I forgot those things, right? I wasn't doing those things because the market got good. And I was like, okay, this is going real great for us. We're killing it. We're making money. We got deals coming in. We're helping people out. We're helping people buy and sell. We're helping agents. And then, things shifted a little bit. Well, what happened? What happened was I think we got away from the basics. So, just kind of get everybody involved in this. What do we think some of those basics are that maybe you forgot about? Maybe, that you're still doing that, been successful for you. What are some basics out there? Somebody shout out, share something with me, what you feel basic is that we should do every day.
Wake up early.
4:15, my friend. And then after I hit snooze about 4:45, but still I try. So anybody else, share your screen if you can. What is a basic that just one thing that you should be doing every day in your real estate business? We'll talk about a couple of personal things, but in your real estate business, what do you feel you should be doing every day?
Lead generating.
There you go. Lead generating, JJ. So here, I'm going to get into the 5 things. I'm going to share my screen right now. But when I go over these 5 individual tasks, it's not just the task, but I want to dive in a little bit to what you guys are doing and what we're doing here, because it's not just the task itself. It's also understanding it. It's also, how should we prepare for it? What should we do? Are we consistent? So let's jump right in. And then, I'm, like I said, really looking to see some participation here. Show yourself, get out there, talk, give some feedback, because this is something that we do together. It's a community. So the ultimate daily checklist for real estate success. So I realized that if this is something that was very consistent in our business, we would be at a little bit different level than we are now. We're doing great. Things are exciting for us, but man, we could have gotten just that next notch up. So the 5 ultimate daily checklists for real estate success. Number 1, lead generation. JJ, you said that. We're going to get into some detail of what that is. Number 2 is lead follow-up. Then you have your role play at number 3. You have set appointments, and then you have go on appointments. So with these, a show of hands, if we can, with these, do we have anybody in here that's doing these 5 things consistently every day? Okay, I'm back to doing it. So what is lead generation? We'll get into this. A few examples of lead generation. We've got cold calling, social media, for sale by owner, open houses, door knocking, sphere of influence. So most people feel like, lead generating is, coming in and just making the calls. We're going to come in for 2 hours. We're going to make calls for 2 hours. And once we've done that 2 hours, we're done. Social media, making a few posts. Lead generating to me is a task all in itself. Okay. So I've learned over some trial and error that lead generating is not just one thing. I thought just coming in, you got to make your calls. That's what lead generating is. That's not the same for everybody, right? Maybe you don't like making calls. Maybe you don't like being on the phone. Maybe your thing is you like talking to people one-on-one. So, door knocking. So let's get into a little bit about what cold calling is, what door knocking is, what open houses are, and the success to have with those with lead generating and the tools to use to be successful with those. So when you're doing your cold calling, we have role play in there, which we'll get into. Cold calling to me, I can't have the same conversations with somebody a year ago that I'm having today. So somebody jump in and share with me a conversation that they were having a year ago, but they're not having today when they're making calls to clients. Anybody jump in and share something that you were having a conversation about that you're not having a conversation about today.
When we get you listed, we're going to have to deal with so many offers coming in on your property. It's just going to be a feeding frenzy.
Okay. When we get you listed, so many offers. Anybody else? Tyler, JJ, Liz? Anybody?
When they're clients, we're not telling them that, they're going to have to give up their first newborn and home inspection and waive the appraisal and all that stuff.
Right. Exactly. We're not going to have to be up, offering 30 grand over, so, if we're not educating ourselves on these cold calls, if that's what we're doing for lead generating, on what that conversation looks like, we could be missing the boat. We can be doing the task every day, but not having the right conversations, so a couple examples that we run into, and maybe I'll give some tips on what I'm doing to overcome that. People say interest rates are too high. We have a home that we have listed that they're looking at, buying their home. And she told me yesterday that she thinks she's going to rent. And I said, well, why is that? She said, well, interest rates are high. I said, okay, well, what happens when those interest rates come down in a couple of years? What do you think is going to happen? She goes, well, I think prices will go up. I said, okay, well, would you rather purchase now at a lower price? And then when the interest rates go down, you don't have to worry about that price going up. And she said, yeah. So there's a few things you could use. So educating yourself on what your calls are going to be about. So cold calling is not just with clients. To me, cold calling should also be put into for lead generating, maybe throwing in a couple of vendors per day. Do you have vendors set up that you're calling to set appointments with to talk about what they can do for your clients, how they can help? One of the biggest ones right now for lead generation to me is two of them: for sale by owners and open houses. Is there anybody in here that is using for sale by owners, not to try to list their home, but to try to possibly do an open house for their home or do some marketing for their home? Is there anybody on this call that's doing that?
Yep, offer the free open house and marketing, baby.
All right, fantastic. So here's how it goes. When I call for sale by owners, I tell them, if that's part of your lead generation, if you want to work on for sale by owners, educate yourself on what you're doing with those. If you want to call them up and say, hey, I know 35 other agents called you and you said no to list your house with them, but will you list it with me? The answer is probably going to be no, But if you call them up and you say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I was wondering if I could possibly have the opportunity to tour your home, number one, because I may have a buyer who's interested. Number two, would you mind if I possibly do an open house for you? I can market your house and possibly help you secure an offer. And then most importantly, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, are you looking at replacing your home when you sell this? Or are you going to just go and rent something, right? So if they're going to replace their home, if they don't have an agent, that gives you an in. But if you're going to be just like everybody else that says, hey, can I list a house for you? They're probably going to say no, they're probably going to hang up on you. So, finding different ways when you're doing that. So for sale by owners, when you're calling them up, have an intention to call them up to maybe help possibly secure an offer on their home. You get to know them. Here's the great thing about that. Here's what all of this lead generating does for us. Whether somebody buys or sells with us, whether they do real estate with us, if we make the intention of lead generating to create a contact, to create someone that we can build that relationship with, and we can put them into our database, we now have somebody that we can now start a follow-up process with, that they may not buy or sell with us, but they may refer somebody that will buy or sell with us. These are some things I feel like I've missed, I'm getting back to along the way, that if we don't feel like we can get that immediate someone who's going to purchase with us or do business with us, that we move on. No, let's go a step further when we're doing our lead generation. Let's try to get that information to put them into our follow-up category to start marketing to them to see if we can get referrals. For sale by owners. So for open houses. So I want to touch on this because I did a training call with someone in our downline that's in Wyoming. And he let me know he did an open house. So I said, okay, how'd that go? He told me how it went. And, I asked him how many signs did he put out? What marketing material did he have? What questions was he asking? He did a great job. He did phenomenal. He's a newer agent. And I said, hey, let me share a few things with you, right? So if you're going to make open houses your go-to, that's what you're going to do, which those can be very, very fruitful. I mean, you can get a lot of clients off of those if they're done right. Okay, if you're showing up to do your lead generation for open houses and you have an open house at 1 o'clock on a Sunday and you're showing up at 11:30 at your office to grab the material, run over there, put 3 or 4 signs out, maybe wipe down some counters, we're probably not going to have as much success as if we started marketing for that open house 5 or 6 days ago, came into the office the day before to make sure our printer wasn't broken down, our internet was okay, was working, got all of our material printed up. And we went out an hour and a half before the open house, put 10 to 15 signs out, directional signs. You'd be surprised how many people show up at those open houses just because they've seen a sign, and then go and door knock that neighborhood. Some of us are in rural areas, so we can't really door knock it, but, maybe do some cold calling in that area, but make it very purposeful for when you're going to do that open house. Okay. So kind of going on a tangent here, but with lead generation, pick what you love, pick what you enjoy doing, learn it, master it, make it your baby, make it this is what I'm going to do. Any one of these categories that you choose for lead generation, they will be successful. You will be successful at it. If you decide to kind of do it halfway, we're going to get just that. We'll get half of what we put into it. So before I move on to lead follow-up, is there anything, with lead generating, coming in, time blocking for it, is there anything that someone's doing right now with lead generation, other than something I have here, that they'd like to share with the group that's been successful for them? Not all at once for me. Let's slow down.
Well, Jason, man, super cool to see you, by the way. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. So I love all of this, by the way. And I think one of the most important things that you're saying right now is find something that you're comfortable with doing and consistently doing it, right? Like I know agents that are killer real estate agents, right? Like they'll make 1 million sales, but they didn't start off that way. They would be cold calling and then they'd give up after like 10 FUs or whatever, right? Like they just give up on it. And then finally, when they get the right coach, somebody like you, that's like, hey man, if cold calling sucks for you, find something you like, right? And they go door knocking, or they go, volunteer at a local venue or something along those lines. That's what I ended up doing. I had a conversation with a few people on my team, man. I hated cold calling and it was just getting redundant. So I would find a way to get out and get in front of people by door knocking, going for runs in my neighborhood, going to the gym and making sure everybody knows who I am, and things of that nature. I'm not a shy person, right? Like I don't mind putting myself out there. And that's me, but that's not everybody, right? Some people might do better with cold calls. So I absolutely love that. I really do. But one of the things that I would say is, especially right now, at this time of year, things are getting crazy for like teachers and stuff. So one of the things I do for lead gen is I'll send like a basket of fruit or something to the office for them to put out for teachers to enjoy with like my business card and things of that nature. I really like reaching out to them, show some signs of support in times when I know it's crazy to be a teacher. I'm a former teacher, so I know it's crazy right now. But things of that nature. Also, I've done donuts to fire departments and police stations. Stuff like that goes a long way, but just some way for people to know that you're there and that you care for them.
Man, I love that. And I'm glad you jumped in, man, because this really helps me out. So that's exactly what I'm trying to share here is pick something that you love and you're going to be consistent with. Thank you for jumping in, Mike, because the reality is if we're not consistent, if we decide to only make calls for 2 days a week, and then the next week we're going to try some open houses. The next week after that, we're going to try some door knocking. we're not consistent enough for the results to happen. So I looked up some some numbers yesterday on lead generation conversion. Now there's different conversions for depending on what you do, right? If it's open houses or cold calling, social media, they all have their conversion rates. What it came down to is it's typically between 1% to 3% on average is your conversion rate. So, if you're doing cold calling, that means you have to talk to 100 people. It's not 100 phone calls. It's talking to 100 people. Social media, get 100 different engagements, get 100 people messaging you back. For sale by owners, when you do those and you talk to the for sale by owner, you've got one there. And then when you do the open house for them, if they allow you to, then you have more people that are coming in. So, you got to understand your numbers on this and know what you have to do to put into it. So find something you love and be consistent with it. And, I'm more than happy if anybody wants to reach out after this with something that they've been trying, and I can give you some one-on-one tips of what I would do if you're doing certain lead generating. To me, I'm lead generating all the time. Anywhere I go, if I'm at the grocery store and Josh has his name tag on, I say, "Hey, Josh, how you doing?" He says, "Oh, I'm doing good. How about you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm good. I just got done showing a client a house. I just got done doing something with real estate." Whatever it is, I try to throw in something with real estate because why? Maybe he's going to ask me, "Oh, well, you do real estate?" I'm going to try to engage with him. I was having a conversation with someone else, and I'm going to go on a tangent here. Anywhere we go, we should have our business cards. And I didn't have them for a long time. I thought the technology age, we should do this, we should do that. But, have your business card. If you like to go meet your friend every Thursday for happy hour, that bartender should know who you are and have your business card. Your hairdresser should know who you are and have your business card. Your dental hygienist, everybody should know who you are and what you do, and they should have your business card. That's one way of just always lead generating and just having your name out there. So thanks for jumping in, Mike. I appreciate that. We're going to move on. We're going to go to lead follow-up. What is lead follow-up? A lot of, the reason I ask what is lead generation or what is lead follow-up, because, when I first got into real estate, I was told this is what to do, but didn't quite understand it, right? I didn't, what does this mean for me? What does this mean for clients? The clients aren't coming fast enough. What can we do? So on the right-hand side here, we have a few things for lead follow-up. Current clients, future clients, nurturers, past clients, agents, vendors, sphere of influence. I learned this through another coach, several years back. Your sphere of influence, he said, take 2 letters of the alphabet and contact those 2 letters every week. A, B the first week, C, D the next week. I don't know the rest of the alphabet, but you guys can figure that out and keep doing that. You'll hit those clients 4 times per year just based on doing that. It's pretty simple. And when you call up your sphere of influence, when you're doing lead follow-up, one of the things I really want us to get out of this whole thing, I want everybody to understand, if you're not doing this, somebody else probably is, right? You're not the only real estate agent that these clients, these vendors, these agents, you're not the only real estate agent they know. It's funny because I think Mike was on the call and I know Tyler was on the call. We were talking about being worried about what other people think of us. And yeah, we don't want to be, we want people to like us, but we also don't want to be so worried about that we're not doing this, that we're not following up. So your current clients, you should have a rotation with your current clients that you're talking to them, whether or not you have something to give to them or not, whether another home has come up or not, there should be constant follow-up with those clients. Future clients, which are also your nurturers, people that you are possibly going to be doing business with, or people who are, where I think some of us miss the boat. I've missed the boat on this, is clients who are working on their credit. Are we following up with those clients? Are we keeping in constant touch with them and letting them know different programs that maybe your area has? Out here we have the HUD program right now is offering $30,000 down in Lane County if someone's buying in Lane County. So, do we know that stuff? Are we following up with them? Are we showing them that we care, we want to help them purchase a home? Here's what's happened with me. Once again, jump in, tell me what you've got going on. Let's share this. Here's what's happened with me. When I've had clients I've been working with that are working on their credit and I've kept in contact with them, guess what? I get a text and it says, "Hey, Jason, my friend Joe is looking at selling his house. Can you help him?" I've never texted them back and said, "No, I'm only going to work with you." You know what I mean? So I said, absolutely, I can help him. And why did he refer that client to me or to us or to the team? Because we're the only agent who kept in touch with him. Maybe he doesn't buy, maybe he can't buy, maybe something happens that is just never going to be able to purchase a home. But what does that take for us to do a call every month to follow up and say hi? It's not much. Our past clients, once again, I was looking at the numbers on this, and it to see how many people, how many agents keep in touch with their past clients. It's about 80% of agents do not keep in touch with their past clients. That is a huge number. What are we doing to keep in touch with them? How are we following up with them? What is our rotation? There's so many tools out there, which I just found out. Another top producing agent on this call, Liz, does a KV core, kind of dive in, learn it, know it, love it, just everything it can do for your business. And I'm going to jump in on that, and I'm going to learn that, because there's always something we can learn. How are we using these tools to keep in touch with these clients? Because it doesn't always have to be us that does that, right? Is it a mailer that goes out? Is it an email that goes out? What are we doing? Agents, when we're keeping in touch with agents, we want to have a great relationship. I mean, follow up with those agents that you do business with. Follow up with those agents that you just closed the home with. And I'm not talking just to recruit those agents, but how is it, when you're listing a home and you have an agent that you've done business with and they have been great, I want some answers on this one. Have you ever had somebody that you worked with that when they put an offer in, you're going to do what's best by your clients, but you kind of cringe? Anybody speak up and tell me, have you ever had that happen?
Yep.
Okay, JJ, thank you. So here's the deal. We've had that happen, right? But if we've followed, what's that?
I said I totally have, man. It's you hit a chord with me on that one.
Yeah. So here's the thing: we should be putting in our follow up for our agents on, just, hey, how are you doing? Hey, it's not even about recruiting; it's keeping that relationship. Because even if we didn't have the great opportunity we have with EXP for our recruiting, even if we didn't have that, what we're doing when we're following up with those agents like that is we're doing what's best for our clients or our future clients. Because if they have a house that they're listing and they like working with us and they know we've followed up with them, we've kept in touch, maybe we've collaborated, doesn't matter what brokerage you're with, and then we put an offer in, guess what? They're probably going to call you up and say, hey, man, if there was just a little bit more there, you'd probably get it. And they're going to help us win that for that client. Vendors, I'm sure a lot of us heard about vendors, call vendors, get them set up with you. This one was really big to me because the last few years, I've had a lot of vendors that have come and gone, right? And, following up with your vendors on what they have. Do you have an HVAC guy for your clients? Do you have a handyman? Do you have a painter? Do you have everything that needs on a home, whatever would need to be done? Do you have those vendors set up to be able to help those clients? And are you following up with them? Not just for your clients, but when you follow up with vendors and you refer them business, I mean, hey, if you just refer them a client to come and, they're going to paint their house, after they're done with it, you can call them up, say, hey, Joe Smith, man, thanks for taking care of my client. They loved it. Everything is great. Hey, I know you do a lot in the community with stuff. Do you know anybody I might be able to call that's looking at getting their house painted that's going to sell it? I mean, this is ways for us to also generate leads by doing the follow-up with these vendors, right? Sphere of influence. I've kind of touched on that. This is a huge one. This is really, really big. And, if we're doing it, great. If we're not doing it, okay. If we say we're doing it, but we're not doing it, we've got to do it, right? Sphere of influence is, I've talked to so many agents and I say, what do you do for lead generation? What are you doing with that? 90% of them, sphere of influence, referrals. They get referrals. They don't get it just by sitting around and waiting for them to call them. They get it by following up with them, by seeing how they're doing. When you sell a home, you put those into your sphere of influence. You're putting those to your follow-up clients to be able to do business with them again in the future. Man, we should know. I mean, how many kids do they have? Is anybody graduating soon? Where'd they move from? Where did they relocate from their state? I mean, find out some stuff that they're allowed to share with you. I mean, you become friends with them. They're going to let you know their favorite restaurant. You share your favorite restaurant. Send them a gift card. I mean, follow up with these clients, right? Follow up with your sphere of influence and make it a habit. This also goes into what we were talking about with lead generating, Mike, and I appreciate you jumping in and kind of helping me out with that. Find something that you are passionate about and do that. It's the same thing with follow-up. If you love doing certain things with follow-up, if you love sending out gift cards, if you love restaurant stuff, whatever it is, make it a passion. If you find a passion in real estate with these things, something that it works for you, it's no longer a hustle. It's no longer a job. It becomes fun. You want to do this. You want to make that call. Most importantly, I've already said this, but if you're not doing this, somebody else is. it hurts, man. I'm telling you, and we've probably all been there. I know I have, to have a client that you sold a home to, you didn't do the follow-up. I didn't do the follow-up like I should have. 3 years later, you're looking at the new listings and boom, there's their house. Shame on me, right? I should have done that. So we'll recap real quick. Lead generation, very important. Lead follow-up. If you only did do those two things, you'd be successful. But we're going to take it up a notch to make it to where it's extremely successful. And then it becomes kind of like a machine. So anybody want to share with me some wins, something we could share with everybody on follow-up? What do you do? Mike, JJ, Tyler, Liz, a ton of great agents on this call right now that I can bounce off of. So you're going to help me.
I had
one of the follow-ups things that I do, Jason, is I think a lot of people, when they close on a house, they get their commission check and then they just forget about their clients. I think follow-ups with clients that you recently closed with, you have like a 3-week window to get another 5-10 touches in there. How's the house doing? Hey, sending over some pizza. I know you moving is rough. You pop by. There's a lot of opportunities. Handwritten note cards just in that 3-week window after someone closes on a house to be able to follow up and get some referrals that way.
Absolutely. That's a huge one, because usually when someone just gets done purchasing a home, what happens? It becomes kind of like keeping up with the Jones. So they know somebody now that's looking at purchasing a home. I love what you said about getting some pizza. I heard somebody say one time before that they give their clients an Uber Eats gift card, because they say, hey, I know it's going to be stressful while you're packing to move out of the house or packing to move into the house. And here's a small gift card to where you don't have to worry about dinner for 2 nights, So that's phenomenal. Anybody else doing something that they'd like to share that's been great with them for lead follow-up to keep in front of these clients that have already used us or they're going to use us? Is there anything else anybody like to share?
So I actually had something to say on the nurture side and the sphere of influence side. So in the consideration of what nurturing looks like, always got to just think of it as a roadmap, right? There's got to be a map to it. And when it comes to nurture stuff, that map is based on how soon you think they'll buy, because every nurture client is either a weekly touch, a bi-weekly touch, a monthly touch, a quarterly touch, or a biannual touch. And that's just, and you have to always think about that on okay, they're not ready right now, but they're on one of those timelines of how many times I should reach out. And then the sphere side is, you have your A-class sphere and your B-class sphere. And, all those people, they are part of your sphere of influence. But the A-class should be a once a month touch. The people who are consistently sending you referrals, right? The people that are very involved in your world. And then that secondary sphere is just, a quarterly, because they do send business every once in a while, but that difference between who's engaged and has sent you tons of business, those are some of the most important people in the world. Those are the ones that you should be doing dinner once a month with, or having a client, appreciation night of just a small group of people, and and just knowing those differences on with the nurtures and the sphere side of how many times you actually have to actively engage with them, right, to continue those relationships well. And so those are just two really big things of what those roadmaps look like.
Well, Tyler, you got me really interested. Sorry, Mike. But Tyler, you got me really interested on one key concept here, which is I think what Jason's really pointing at here is that this stuff has to be purposeful. It can't be accidental, right? This can't be some entrepreneurial, and by entrepreneurial, I mean just kind of fly by the seat of your pants. Yeah, I keep in touch with my clients. It's well, when do you do that? And it's yeah, when I, remember to do it. What I love about that is you're it's weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, quarterly, biannually, annually, whatever you're doing. If you know what you're doing, it's guaranteed to be more successful than if you don't know what you're doing. And I think the question to ask yourself right now is, and if I was on this call, this is what I'd be asking myself: do I have a plan to do this? Because if I don't have a plan, it's not going to work. Right? I promise you that. You may have to shift your plan along the way. One of my very favorite coaches used to tell me, make a plan and understand the plan's always wrong. And that's okay. But without a plan, you're not planning the work, and then you can't work the plan, right? Like I need something to work on. And what am I doing? That's like a football team going out on the field, right? And it's like, what's the next play? Like, everyone just do what feels good. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, chaos. Here we go. Right? Like that's not going to work. Everyone just runs different directions. We need some type of a plan for our business. And I think some people get freaked out. Like, what if I keep in touch with my past clients too much? Here's what I can promise you. That's very unlikely. Right? There's a very famous digital marketer out there who just sells products online, and now he sells trainings for selling products, right? He's like a meta internet sales guy. But his name's Frank Kern. Don't go subscribe on his website because you'll get 7,000 emails. Or if you have like a junk email, go do it just so you can see what I'm talking about. You'll get 1 to 2 emails a day from this dude. He's one of the best in the industry on digital marketing. Why is it that he thinks he can just flood your inbox daily? Because he knows you're not seeing most of them. Tons of it gets spam trapped. Some of it just gets unopened. Your inbox is getting inundated anyway. You're not opening half of the ones, even though you see them. He's just saturation marketing. And sometimes we freak out. But the statistic to know, and I love, Jason, that you hit on this, is, and I don't remember what the current numbers are, but the National Association of Realtors does this study all the time. And then we've got Mike and Liz on deck here, by the way, Jason. But the National Association of Realtors has done this study, and the thing to know is this: they say it's like 80 to 90% of all people say, I would use my last real estate agent again. Think about that. Most people, 90%, let's call it even, say, I would use my agent again. But like 11% of them actually do use the same agent again. The disparity between the people who say, sure, I'd use that agent again, that was great, and then the people who are like, I can't remember my freaking agent's name because I haven't heard from them in 7 years, right? That's the difference, is you're just not keeping in touch, right? If I'm coaching a top producer, our first call every time is this: let's talk about your sphere of influence in your database. Because I just know, even if you're closing 80 deals a year, it's unlikely that you have all 80 of those: current name, email, phone number, address, and that you're keeping in touch with everybody using all those channels. And if we can maximize that, 70% of your business will come off of your past clients. 70% if you do it right, which is huge. And anyone selling 100 to 200 houses plus a year, they are maxing out that part of their business. So I love that you're hitting on this, Jason. It's rad, man.
No, and I appreciate you guys jumping in, because that's really what I'm getting at is, consistent, be passionate about it. Pick what you enjoy doing with following up and do it. If you don't like sending out a mass email, don't do it. Supplement that with a call, with a text, whatever it is that you like to do. Just keep following up with these clients. I just seen some stuff in the chat.
We got Mike and Liz also are waiting. Sorry about that with the chat.
Go for it.
No, hey, and I don't want to throw you off, Jason. So if you want me to shut up, just let me know.
You go,
and
Mike.
pretty much Jeff touched on what I was going to say, and you're about to continue. But intentional, we've got to be intentional with our follow-up, our lead gen, every part of our business, right? We've got to be consistent and genuine. And there's no such thing as too much, right? Like when it comes to follow-up or lead gen or anything we do, there's no such thing as too much. Like these people are our friends. Why wouldn't they want to talk to me? Why wouldn't they want to talk to Jason or Jeff or Liz or whoever it is, right? And then the other thing is, like Jeff threw out the analogy of football. Like it's crazy if people go out and they just do what they want to do and what feels good, right? Well, it's also crazy if you have a football play drawn up, but you're a baseball player, right? Find what works for you and go put that to work, if that makes sense. So I love everything you're saying, man. You're hitting the nail right on the head.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
Hey, Liz, can you hear us?
I can. Hey, Jason. Hello from the EXP Indy office, everybody. Jason, this is great stuff. So thank you for doing it. I just want to say, my secret has been leveraging KB Core. I've done it for a really long time. And, now I have over 2,000 people in my database, and there's no way I could keep track of those people if I wasn't using a CRM. And, you can use any CRM you want, but Glenn Sumford has provided one of the best CRMs in the world for free. And so if you're not leveraging it, you really should. It sends out a market report to my clients, my past clients. That's an automatic thing I do on my checklist. This, as soon as they go to close, they will then start receiving that market report. So every 30 days, and you could set it for 7, you can set it for 14, whatever you want. But at least once a month, I'm touching my past clients with that market report that gives them an update on the zip code that they just bought in. I can send them an anniversary text and that's automatic and it's tied to that closing date. Like there's so many great things. And then leads, I can generate leads from it, but then keeping track of those leads. And if I set a reminder to call a lead or to email a lead or text a lead, I can actually set that reminder and then it pops up on my Google Calendar. And so there's so much stuff in there that I can't wait to share it with you if you don't already know it. And so I think I'm going to do another class here shortly for Core 90 if anybody would be interested in that. But it's all about the follow-up and consistency. Follow-up and consistency. Like I'm doing tons of follow-up. And I do all of this stuff and I still lose money every year. I can look back and look at the leads that I just never had time to nurture. And so I'm still trying to leverage my business and grow. We are all trying to grow. And so it's really nice to hear Jason up here giving us just like those bullet points of what we should be doing to be top producers, because even the top producers need those reminders. So thank you.
Absolutely. I appreciate you jumping in. And, the power everybody brings to this and what it comes down to, is like we were saying, consistency, find something you love. So on the lead follow-up, what I would challenge everybody to do, and I'm not going to check next week's homework or anything like that, but what I would challenge you to do is I would challenge you to start going through your phone, making sure that your contacts are in there and they have the name, address, phone number of all that. I would challenge you to get into your database, maybe start with 10 a day and see what you're missing on these people, right? Call them up and say, hey, I'm updating my emails right now. Are you still at, Jason.Giles at eXp Realty? Oh, you know what? No, I'm not. I'm at XYZ. Get in there and get it updated. I started doing that about 4 or 5 weeks ago. And I realized how many numbers I have in there that I'm like, I can't even remember who this person was because I didn't have their company on there. I didn't have their email on there. I mean, it's a reality, right? We get so busy. We think that, we don't have time for that. The reality, what's going to happen is we're going to have too much time to do that because we're not lead generating and following up. So we're having no clients to work with. So I'd encourage you guys to get in there and just make sure your database is really tight. It has everything it needs. Put notes in there of something that was an event that was maybe happening or events that are going to happen. So that way, when you call them up or you're following up with them, you're purposeful. I love that, Liz, with the KV core, because what you're sending to these clients, that's automatic, right? Once you set this up, it's something that's purposeful for them. You're not just spamming them with junk, right? Here's what's going on in your market. Here's what's happening here. Like, make it purposeful, and then they want to talk to you, So anyways, that's, lead generation, lead follow-up. Those are huge, And if you get to a point to where you've got so many people in your database that all you're doing is lead follow-up, that is your lead generation. You're no longer trying to get new clients because you have so many referrals coming in. Great agents, it doesn't matter what you do. People who are great in sales, they get to a point in their career where they're no longer looking for business because the business keeps coming to them, and it starts with doing this. The things I'm going over today are just basic things that, when the market shifts and it gets really great and we're making money, we've got so much business going on, we kind of get away from this, that's my opinion. And I think it's time right now to understand in our current market, people say it's shifting. And I heard this from a local agent, here that we collaborate with. He's with another brokerage. And it made sense to me. He said, Jason, we have a shift in our market every year, right? Every year we have a shift. So I don't know where you're located, but if you're in Arizona, you probably have a shift during the summertime. It slows down. It's shifting a little bit. People don't want to move when it's hot. Or if you're in Minnesota and it's snowing like crazy, it's going to shift in the wintertime. It's going to slow down. So we should be ready at all times for that shift, that annual shift that's going to happen. And doing these tasks right here are going to help us to stay busy, keep clients going, and get us through what those minor shifts would be. So anyways, just want to share that. So we're going to go on to the next one here. If I get this, there we go. Oh, going back. So role play. I don't know how many people on the call right now are doing role play, but role play to me is really, really important. All right. We once again had gotten away from doing some role play. When we did role play, we were doing it once a week. Honestly, I don't feel like role play once a week is enough. Right. And I'll tell you why. This is kind of passionate to me. All of this is passionate to me. If I could share anything with someone that's going to help them be successful, man, I'm going to share it with you. So pick an accountability partner. That's important. Someone you could trust. Someone, if Kiki, you and Doug can do this. Liz, you guys can do this. Pick an accountability partner that you guys can do this with, and do 15 minutes a day. Do 10 minutes a day, but start with something on this. Topics. Role play. A lot of people, may think that role play is just, with buyers or with sellers. We should be role playing what it is that we're having conversations with vendors with. We should be role playing conversations we're having with other agents. If something comes up to where you have a deal that happens and the other agent reacted a certain way and you didn't really know how to answer that, man, call your role play partner and say, hey, I want to go over this with you. How can we role play this out if this happens again, right? It's not just about our buyers or our sellers. Role play your sphere of influence if you have to. Say, hey, I'm going to start calling people I know and they already love me. They already want to talk to me, but I'm afraid to do it. What should I say? Let's start off with saying, hey, Chad, how are you doing? Oh, I'm good, Jason. Thank you. Hey, man, just want to keep in touch with you. Just want to see how everything's going. How's the new house? How's the new state that you're in? Whatever it is, get scripts for the different topics of what you're going to be doing, right? And do that with your lead follow-up, with your buyers, your sellers, even scripts, we can find them, even scripts for vendors. I keep going back to vendors, but man, I don't know how many agents don't have a vendor list that they can share with their clients when they move into a home that has some kind of branding for you on that vendor list. You're giving them value, and then you're giving them something that they're probably going to keep because they're going to want somebody who can service their HVAC. They're going to want somebody who can, paint their house, all of that stuff, right? So, come up with scripts on when you're talking to vendors about what you want to do. Pretty simple. I have a guy I work with here local. He's a single man show, owns his own HVAC company. I recommend him to everybody. And when I first called him up, I said, hey, I'm looking for somebody who could take care of the clients and just give them an honest, fair price for them and for you as a business owner. Because I found that some companies have just gotten outrageous with their pricing. He gets every one of my deals that come through that need his service. So practice your scripts for what you're saying with them and what value you're going to bring to them. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share this. This was brought to me a while back, talking about vendors, and you could use this, not use it, whatever you may like. This is something that might be powerful for you. Pick a handyman that that if they charge you, $50 an hour, $30 an hour, see if you can negotiate with them to where you're going to pay them $100 for 3 hours instead of $100 for 2 hours. And then offer that to your clients, to your whoever's listing or whoever's buying, that you're going to give them 3 hours of free. Now they have a handyman that they could use if it's somebody you trust. And that handyman will also let you know if he's helping different people out that you refer to them when they may be calling him up to sell their house because they're going to get it ready. They need some things fixed. So, something that you can offer to your clients. Role play is big. A share of hands or jump in the comments here. How many people are consistently role playing, especially with the shift in the market right now? I'm not. And that's where I got to get better at it. Right. So with role playing, when I was talking about, yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, one of the things that I love about this is, first off, I love role playing. I think it's been core and critical to what we've done and continue to do. And it can drop into any part of your sales career. I think whatever it is that you're doing consistently in terms of a sales engagement needs role play. Jason is 100% spot on with this. It's like, it's like if you were learning an instrument, it's practicing in the practice room instead of on stage in front of an audience, right? Like work out the kinks there so that somebody's not doing it like when they're out on date night. They don't have to listen to you figuring it out. And I feel like that's the reality is sometimes we practice on our clients, right? Like how many of you are guilty of being like, that didn't go so well. It could have been avoided, right? Like just do the, it didn't go so well version with a friend. The only thing I'll pepper in here, Jason, which I think really, really helps is also record yourself when you role play with your partners. And it doesn't have to be complicated. Everybody's got a voice recorder built into their phone these days. Just record it. Because if you've ever had that experience where you hear yourself back, you are the most critical of yourself. And if you want to get better at like light speed, record yourself handling like objections, whatever it is, where they're like, hey, will you reduce your commission? And then you're like, and it just comes out all terrible. Whatever that is, get that version out and then be critical of yourself and then listen to it 2 years later so you can feel great about the progress that you've made as well. But I think recording yourself is going to make a huge difference. I remember when people used to say, I'm just going to wait for prices to go up. And I just had a canned response. I totally understand, but have you considered your holding costs, between principal, interest, taxes, insurance, landscaping, maintenance, and repairs, you're going to have blah, blah, blah. Like I have a whole script that's ready. I know it every single time. It's cold, right? And so what's fun with that is I never had to think. I could actually be thinking like chess player, like 12 moves ahead of them, because I'm just going to like be like, boop, 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 deploy that script and it just comes out, and I can actually be thinking about what needs to happen next instead of having to like or doing what a lot of times agents do, which, and Jason, you've probably seen this, right? Because I know you've run a team, and it's like where the agent thinks that like I handled that great, and the client does not agree with you. The client was like, that was weird. I don't even know what you're talking about, right? But you're like, I think I nailed it. No, you didn't nail it. It's okay. So don't wing it, right? I would say winging it or practicing on your clients is a bad idea. And what I like about this is it's just being purposeful. It's being out in front. It's awesome, man.
One thing I want to add to that conversation too is I used to do a lot of role playing about 5 years ago when I was doing a lot of cold calling, and what we would do is we would role play for 10 minutes, strictly 10 minutes of, hey, you go for 5 minutes, I'm gonna go for 5 minutes. All right, let's jump on the phone. So we're warmed up. But what we would do is that day we'd write down our toughest objections, our situation of what we heard on the phone. And then the next day we'd practice back real time what we're hearing, feedback from the market. And it was the greatest thing, because most people are going to say the same thing. And when you're really active in the role playing, the first time you hear a prospect say something to you over the line that you role played on, you just get kind of like a grin, like the Grinch that stole Christmas on your face. You're like, yeah, I saw that one coming, you know? So just another thing is role playing the actual conversations that you're hearing real time in the market.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. And that's what I was going to get to next. I appreciate, and that's what it comes down to, when you role play, it's preparing you for what you're about to do, right? We anywhere we go, we would love to think that whatever service we're getting, they're the best at what they're doing, right? They're prepared for what we need, So when you're doing your role play, if you're going to role play for buyers that day, your script should be on buyers. If you're going to role play for sellers, your script should be on sellers, right? If that's what you're going to be doing that day with lead generating, that's what I meant. But I put on here, educate, yourself on the market, right? When I started this off with this webinar, with what we're doing today, it was, I'm not going to have the same conversation last year that I'm having today, right? So when you're role playing, have those role playing conversations for today, right? And when you're role playing, it's very, very important to pick the right partner, because the role play, yes, we're going to have some laughs in there, but man, take it serious, because when you're on the phone with this client and they actually pick up, here's the thing. I'll come in and I'll make close to 100, 125 calls a day. If I get 10 people who answer, I am excited, and I don't want to mess that up. So if we're going to spend that time to do it, we want to be ready, right? Pick a good accountability partner who's going to take it serious with you to say, okay, here's some good objections. Here's what we're doing. Here's what's happening in the market. Here's what I've heard. Maybe talk for 5 or 7 minutes about what's going on in the market before you start that role play. But role play, it's really important. You're preparing yourself for that conversation to have great, lead generating. Now, role play doesn't have to just be with calls, but it could be role play when you're going to do an open house. Maybe role play with a partner before you go do the open house on what you're going to say when clients come in. I've gone to a lot of open houses that other agents are holding, and when I walk in, they don't know I'm a real estate agent at first, if we haven't met. And I'm surprised that none of them really have any. It's just, hey, how are you? It's not, there's no kind of script on, hey, how you doing? Welcome in. I appreciate you coming here. How did you hear about the open house? There's no script to that. It's just kind of, how are you doing? And it's like, oh, I'm good. And then all of a sudden I walk by them and I'm just going to look at stuff. I mean, have a script and be purposeful about whatever you're going to be doing, right? Because once we finally get that person in front of us, or we finally get them on the phone, we want that to be fruitful. We want that to work for us. So that's what I have for role play. Make it a habit. Do it 10 minutes a day. If you have to do it by yourself and record yourself, go for it. Jeff told me that this recording is going to be on YouTube. I probably won't watch it because I don't like hearing myself. But then I'll force myself to do it so I can get better for the next one, right? The little side note, I did a video the other day that I was going to post on YouTube. I did 38 of them. I listened to all 38 of them, and I'm not going to use one of those yet because I'm too afraid, but I'll get out there and I'll do it and I'll make it happen. So role play, record yourself. It's a great tool for you to have. And you'll be surprised how many agents are not doing this. Here's another one. We set appointments. So when you're on these calls, the purpose would be to set the appointments. I'm going to jump back real quick to one thing, because there was a couple comments. Someone made a comment about for sale by owners that they're told they can't do it in their area. If you're in our area, we're here in Oregon, we can. If you're not sure if you can do some of the things that I'm maybe suggesting, talk to your principal broker and find out, make sure it's okay for you to do that. So I just want to throw that out there. I don't want to have you do something maybe you can't do in your local area. So set the appointments. I mean, when our goal when we get on these calls or we get in front of a client, is to set that appointment. My background was in the auto industry. I did car sales for about 5 years, and I went to finance, became a general manager. I helped out a few different stores. And it came down to, I didn't want to be the nicest guy to not sell them a car. And it's the same thing with this. We don't want to be the nicest person on the phone to not get them to the next step, the nicest person in front of them to not get them there, that we gave them all the information and all of a sudden they use somebody else for this. We want to, when we're in front of them or we get them on the phone, if we are not asking for this appointment, we shouldn't have made the call, right? We should have got in front of them. I hope you guys agree with me. Our goal is to set an appointment, whether it's to show the house, set an appointment for them to meet with you and a lender. We've got to be mindful to set these appointments. So today, for example, after this, I have three appointments set up. They're all with other agents. We're going to be doing one-on-one Zoom. So your appointments don't have to be just with your buyers or sellers or someone who's actively trying to purchase with you or do business with you. Set appointments with agents. That goes back to lead follow-up with agent. If they want to meet with you for coffee and it's something you could do, meet with them for coffee. Collaborate. Maybe they know something we don't know. It just helps us get better. Your sphere of influence. We talked about this, right? You in your sphere of influence, set time with them to go to dinner, to go to lunch, to go to coffee. I mean, this is where when they want to come and meet with you, it's your opportunity to stay in front of them, to let them know you care about more than just the referral they're going to give you, but they are going to end up referring to you, right? Because you're calling them up to offer that. Make it a habit to try. I would challenge everybody to, if you're not doing it right now, I would challenge everybody to call it just one person that you've sold a home to and ask them if they'd like to go to coffee this week. Just one person. I think, I get passionate about this stuff because I think what it comes down to is we're afraid of what the answer is going to be if we ask, right? We're afraid of what's going to happen, what the outcome is going to be. Get away, get that out of there. Get out of your own way and just go have coffee with them. And if it makes you feel better, don't even talk about real estate. Just go have coffee with a friend. Go have coffee with somebody you bought or sold a house with. Maybe pick somebody that went through a rough time and just take them out to get a cup of coffee. If they like to go to happy hour, take them out for one glass of wine. Whatever it might be, make that purposeful. When you start doing that once, then it becomes twice. You set that appointment. Before you know it, you're consistently setting appointments with your sphere of influence that you're like, okay, do I have enough time, right? Vendors, you set appointments with vendors. I go back to this a lot because it's just another tool in our toolbox to have for our clients, right? Set appointments with vendors to maybe meet them at the house when they're going to do something. That's an appointment you could set with them. Set appointments with vendors to find out what they've got going on that's new, and then also when we're doing this, it's a way that we are going to be possibly being able to ask them for referrals. Hey, Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so, I know I've used you guys for the last year and a half and just want to meet with you to have some coffee, see how business is going. Hey, by the way, I know that when you're out there, and you're talking with clients and you're doing this, you do come across people who sell home. Is there a reason that maybe you haven't referred somebody to me in the last year and a half since I've been using you? It's okay for us to ask them that, but set an appointment with them to go meet with them because you're going to talk business, right? You've brought them business, right? So it's okay for us to say to them, hey, I'm just wondering, I know I've used you several times in the last year, and this is a great business relationship. So being a business relationship, I want to ask you, is there anything I've done wrong? Or is there anything I can do that you would maybe want to refer somebody to me that is listing their home? Especially if there's some kind of contractor, because these contractors will know when someone's going to be listing their home, right? Because they get a call to say, hey, can you come and fix this? I'm thinking about selling it. Local businesses. So, set an appointment, where we're at, we have some small business here. You can set an appointment to go meet with some of your local business owners and just sit down with them and just say, hey, how's things going? How can we collaborate? What can we do for each other? Right? It's kind of simple, and local businesses, they want to see how they're going to get more business. How can they do that? Right? And if you can help them, they can help you. And then also get your name out there. Community involvement. I put this under set appointments because we should be setting an appointment or setting a time block on this to go and get involved in something in the community. When we say we don't have enough time, let's make time. When people see us out there doing things, when they see us out there involved in it, it becomes curiosity. Okay, well, you're out here, you're doing this in the community. And then, yes, at the end of the day, this all helps us get referrals. I mean, that's what we're doing it for, right? Yes, we want to help the community. It's a great way for us to do that. Find something that you like doing. And that appointment for the community could be one thing a year that you like to do, whether it's a blanket drive during the winter time, whether it's Christmas gifts for kids, whatever it is, that could be one appointment that's for the year. But get involved with that and make it a habit to make an appointment of doing something that involves with you in the community. Of course, we have our appointments on here for for our buyers and sellers. We got to be setting those appointments. So I know some people think, and I've talked to other agents like Jason, how am I going to set an appointment every day? How am I going to do that? It's easy. It's just don't be focused just on setting appointments with people who are directly doing business with you right then. Okay. Open that mind up, set appointments with people who can be doing business with you in the future, set appointments with people who can help you, be another tool for the clients that you do have. Set those appointments. The more people you are talking to, especially about real estate, the higher the chances that you have of referrals and continue more business. So, I'm going to ask this, and I'm going to ask some people to jump in too. How many appointments does anybody on here have a goal of how many appointments they like to set for the week?
5 a week.
5 a week. Anybody else? Three a week, JJ? Okay. 10. All right. So, setting these appointments is big, especially right now, because we are having, at least where we're at, it has slowed down. So, instead of scrambling around, let's set some appointments to talk to some of the people we've done business with. Some of the people who maybe bought and then they feel like their house has gone down in value. I mean, set appointments and get out there and just start talking to people. I would almost guarantee you that if you start setting these appointments and you meet with your sphere of influence, you will start getting a referral that you didn't know was out there to have, right? Jeff, when you did your call, when you did the Core 90 about 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, and you challenged all of us to get on the phone with the script that you had and call people to see if we can, anybody who wanted to buy or sell. We called somebody that's a relative of us and they actually said, well, yeah, we are. And, when we got done with that Core 90, we're thinking that person is so close of a relative. They're actually going on vacation with us next month. Why am I only finding out because Jeff told me to do this script with you right now? Why weren't you calling me before? Right. So, they're out there. You get out there, set those appointments, talk to those people, you'll get this referral. So,
and Jason, we've said this before on this call, but for anyone where this is a new concept about like setting appointments purposefully, don't just set appointments that are what I'll call T-balls, right? Like if somebody who calls you and says, hey, Angie, I need to list my house. Can you come out and do it? That is an appointment, but I call that a T-ball, meaning you're not going there to try and swing the bat and see if you can actually connect. You're not competing for the business at all. It's just ready to go, and which is awesome. It's a great thing to happen, and it will happen if you're following up with your past clients. But those are cherry pieces of business. For me, I feel like a disproportionate number of your appointments need to be, I'm not really sure where the opportunity is here, but I'm going to meet with this person anyway, right? Like if Jason was one of my buddies and I go to the appointment, I'm talking to Jason and I recognize that he may need to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. If he's not investing, he needs to invest, right? However, the other thing is, generally speaking, most people know 200 to 250 people in their sphere. And out of every 12 adults, one of them needs to buy, sell, or invest right now. So out of his sphere, there's another 20, 30 people that I could probably connect with, and out of each of their spheres. So I'm looking not just to him, but like, who do you know? Like you can always go find the business. The question is not whether or not it's there. The question is whether or not you're asking the right questions to find it. That's my opinion.
Absolutely. 100%. I talk to people everywhere I go, and this makes me think of, when you said be purposeful, when you're having some of these appointments that you set with a local business or another vendor, ask them to bring material of what they're going to offer for your clients while you bring material of what you're going to offer if they have a potential client. Be purposeful, sell yourself what you have, what you can do. So I'm going to jump into the fifth thing that to me, it's, Heather brought some stuff up last week on the call. This one to me is just as important as the rest. They're all very important. And if we don't do the first four, we don't even get to the fifth one, right? Going on appointments. Okay, so every day we like to have an appointment scheduled. Now, maybe if our goal is 5 for the week and we've got 2 for one day, nothing the next, but we got the 5 for the week, then we're hitting that. We're going after that every day. The appointments are huge on how you present yourself at that appointment. I cannot stress enough being prepared for your appointment. And this is stuff I've learned from experience. Okay. So I mentioned this earlier, you don't want to be set for an appointment to go meet with that listing and show up at the office an hour before you're supposed to be there. Printer doesn't work. You can't get the material. Where did you put those comps? Did you even do that before? You've got to prepare for this appointment like it's the only appointment you are ever going to get and you need to nail it. You need to get this appointment, especially when you're working with someone who's going to list their home. All appointments need to be nailed. And I'll get into why listings are so huge for us, which we already know. Sometimes, I think Jeff said this on a call we were on yesterday, it's hearing the same thing from somebody else that kind of resonates and say, okay, I need to be doing this. What's going on, right? So prepare yourself for that appointment. Get your material ready, be dressed appropriately. If the appointment's at 3, you don't need to be 15 minutes early, but be early. Be there 5-6 minutes early. Sometimes people aren't quite ready when you get there. So you don't want to get there too early if you're going to show up at their home. Okay. Get there early, be prepared, have what you need there. You've got to be prepared. You've got to look professional. Professionalism is huge. I don't know how many agents I've come across again that I'm thinking, I didn't know you were in real estate. Right. And there's days where I come into the office where I've got, my workout clothes on still because I know I'm not going to meet with anybody. So it's not an every day that you've got to do that. So material, make sure you have what you need for it. Professionalism. That one thing, I got this from Liz last week. This is how powerful Core 90 is. If you're going on a listing appointment, what's that one thing that you could bring to the table that maybe no other agent has? I never brought comps for their local sales if they weren't in my comparable category until I heard Heather say that last week. Shame on me, right? I mean, maybe everybody else on this call is thinking, well, I've always done that. Well, I have it and I learned something. What's that one thing? They're going to know about that house that sold a block away or in their neighborhood. They don't know that house is 30 years older. They don't know that house has 800 less square feet, but they're going to know it's sold. So what's that one thing that you're bringing to the table when you're going to these listings? I know another agent I worked with, Sean. He would bring on his listings two moving boxes to his listing appointment that had his branding on it. Simple things. Other agents, they'll bring gift cards or something, something of that nature, but something that has your branding on it or something that sets you apart from everybody else, right? Pick that one thing that you like. Everything on this call, everything on this Core 90 days is being purposeful about what we're doing. So make it a goal. I would challenge you, if we're not mindful about setting appointments and going on appointments, make that another goal that I'm throwing out there, another habit of what appointment can I set and what appointment can I go on next week? What can I do to start doing that? The more that we're in front of people, the more opportunity we have. I met last night. I was at my son's jujitsu class and I'm talking to one of the parents there and she's a dental hygienist. And she said, I had been told I should get my real estate license because my husband is in the farming industry. And, they said I'd be great at real estate. And our friend just sold a $2 million property. And I was like, yeah, you should. And you should call me, number one. But number two, this goes back to, talking to everybody when you get out there. So what I did with her is I shared my wife and I's information. We do this together. And I said, I want you to give us a call. Let's set up a time that we can get together. Maybe we could talk about that opportunity. Right. So, I'm working on setting that appointment. When we get the call from her, we'll go on that appointment and we'll be ready when we go there. We'll share EXP with her. We'll share what we can do with her. She can become a referral agent. She doesn't have to be full-time real estate. Anyways, I go on rants. What this is about is be purposeful about it. Be ready, be professional, show up on time. Don't be that person that shows up 3 minutes late, because when you do, they're probably going to work with you, right? Because looking up some numbers yesterday, sellers will work with the first agent that they talk to a high percentage of the time. Don't know exactly what it is. I'll make one up. Let's say 85%, but it's a high percentage of the time. Okay. But even though we know that that's probably going to happen, we should still show up like it's the only person we've got. So, one of the things that makes this whole thing work, people say, and I'm going to share what Tyler said. I think he had to jump off. Tyler asked me, I've been on a journey the last, 7 months, 8 months, really, really big health kick of what I'm doing. And he said, man, what have you done? And we had about 3 minutes before this started. And I said, I don't have enough time. I said, but I'll probably share it on this call. Right. So this is my personal choice. This doesn't have anything to do with this is what you should be doing or you shouldn't be doing. But when we say we don't have time, we can find time for the things that are important for us. Right. So the reason why this is important to me, my big why, it's my family, it's my kids, it's my 2-year-old daughter. That's my why. So here's my somewhat of my daily schedule. I get up about 4:15, 4:30. I go to the gym at 5 a.m., come home at 6. I do a small workout at home in the morning. Then my wife and I, we get up, we start getting all of the kids ready. We get into the office about 8:30. We're right into our lead generating or making calls to to agents, setting those appointments. We go from that to agent attraction. After agent attraction, about 1 o'clock comes by. Guess what? I am super tired. I'm exhausted. I'll take a 15 or 20-minute power nap to get myself back going again and get up and go. Then from 3 to about 4:30, I'm back on the phone making calls, because right now I like to make calls. Right now, you've got to put the work in, because we are, things are slowing down. They'll come back, but you got to put the work in. 4:30-ish, I get home, maybe get some dinner ready, help out. My wife's got appointments during the week, so she'll head out. I'm at the house at 5:45. I either head to jujitsu, I head to basketball practice, or I head to soccer practice. That's all happening 5 days a week now. Then I come home at about 8:15 or so. We're getting everybody down for bed. So that's my daily schedule. Does it sound like a lot? It's not to me, because those are the things that are important to me. So when we say we don't have time, if it's important, we'll find time for it. So if that means, if you like getting up at 6, get up at 5:45 and do something for 15 minutes that can change the trajectory of your day. So the last thing on this, and I hope that this was helpful. I hope it was powerful for you. If anybody wants to work out with me at 5 a.m., I'd be more than happy to meet up with you via Zoom. If not, I understand, because this morning I did not want to get up, but I had to do it. Here's what makes this work. It's time blocking. Show of hands, somebody just jump in and start yelling, unmute yourself. Who here is actively time blocking their day? Anybody?
Yep, I do.
I time block my day also.
I do too.
Okay, so here's my question for those. Scott, for you, Scott,
Yeah.
when you started time blocking, did it make a difference in your calendar? What did it do for you when you started time blocking and making it happen?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like I've been doing that a long time. When I'm not doing it, things don't work very well. When I am, it goes as planned.
Okay, it's pretty
Business
simple.
happens.
Right. It's pretty simple. So, you've been doing it a long time, and, times when you haven't done it, things don't go as planned. Business doesn't happen. When you're doing it, business happens. Another thing I would challenge with some of this stuff is, we can't do too many things at once, right? We got to set appointments. We've got, things we haven't been doing, we're going to try to do. Start out very small. Just put 2 things into your calendar and stick to those 2 things. It doesn't have to be this drastic change of, I'm going to start doing this every day. Just start being mindful of knowing that you should do it. Find a way to implement it. Use that Google Calendar, the paper calendar, Google Calendar, whatever you use. Just use a calendar and put something in there. Put that appointment that you want to set and when you want to set it by. Put the time block in there for when you're going to update your contacts. Time blocking for me, it's forever changing. Our life is forever changing when we got kids that do different sports. So I'm always having to get in there and, adjust my calendar. There's times where I haven't used it right, but when I do, it's powerful. So, that's what I have. I would love any feedback, any questions, any content that can be brought to this Core 90 that could help somebody out. Even something that could help me for the next time I'm on here training. Does anybody have things for the better of the group?
Hey, Jason. So funny enough, I actually learned time blocking from Scott, but the one thing that has really helped out whenever I'm on point with my time blocking is my world is less reactive. I'm not reacting to the world and everybody else's schedule. Everybody else's schedule is on my time. In essence, obviously they got their own stuff going on, but I'm able to say, no, I got this. Can you do this time or this time? And it's less, oh crap, I left the kids at school. I got to run over there. You know what I mean? So a lot less reactive work.
JJ, you know what I love about that? It's really funny because I was about to make this comment and I have it on my paper. Look at this. Leaders anticipate, losers react. That was literally from one of my recent, journals from when I was going through a training with the great Tony Robbins. And he just said, leaders anticipate. And the truth is, a lot of times we think, well, I'm not a leader. I mean, you're either a leader or you're a follower. And the reality is leaders are better paid for their time. And given that 1 hour of your life is equivalent to 1 hour of your life, Think about that really quickly. You might as well be as highly compensated for that hour as possible because you only got so many of them left. And every hour that you spend, your life gets more valuable because it keeps getting shorter every day. It's weird how that happens. So the truth of the matter is, I think what Jason's been talking about all day is this concept of anticipation, of being a leader. That's why Jason is a leader, right? He and his amazing wife, Jen, they're incredible. And the bottom line is leaders anticipate, losers react. What does that mean for us? It means that we have to be thinking proactively about what needs to happen in advance so that we're not just playing whack-a-mole and trying to put out fires all the time, right? If you feel out of control or if you feel like your life is chaotic, chances are it's because you weren't thinking about things before they got there. It's like running through the forest at night without a flashlight, and all that's happened is you're getting hit in the face with branches. Right? And you're like, dang it, why am I getting hit with all the branches? Because the lights aren't on, right? Anticipation just turns on the lights. You can see everything coming. It makes it a lot easier. So I think this is just fabulous content. I'm also curious, while you guys have a top producer like Jason Giles on here, somebody who's amazing, who understands the business and has been leading for a while, like what kinds of questions would you like to ask? Doesn't even have to be specific to the checklist kind of concept today, but just what kinds of questions where you're like, you know what I'm struggling with in my business is this. Part of what we do in Core 90 is help everyone with their business, help you to succeed. We want to make sure you have the opportunity to ask questions and be involved and engaged. There comes one. What's up, JJ?
Versus that guy, right? Jason, let's go day one, $0. You just got into the business. You just talked about all these activities to turn the money machine on. Where would you, obviously there's coaching and questions asked to this, but if you were just to paint it with a wide brush stroke, where would you put a day one, $0 agent to start making some money? What kind of prospecting would you lead them to?
Oh, man, I'm telling you. So this is something we've been working on to bring the most value to the agents who've trusted us to come over to EXP. And, you know, really day one is calendar, is get your calendar and dial in your activities for what you're going to do. That's going to, you know, we're not going to be necessarily putting in lead gen or where, you know, we got to see what season they're in with the real estate coming in. Did they have a background in sales? Did they not have a background in sales? You know, where are they coming from? Calendar. Making the calendar a habit for what you're going to be doing, for learning the tools that you're going to be using, your database. That's a day one of get that dialed in, and setting your first week in real estate up with learning the tools that you have, KV Core, Sky Slope, making sure you have your forms. I mean, day one is having all of the tools that you're going to need and having your calendar set up to where you can be successful. Goes back to what Jeff said of not just fly by the seat of your pants and trying to be ready for what's going to happen, right? Let's prepare yourself. So that's day one for me, is setting that agent up with a calendar and activities to learn the tools that they're going to be using for their real estate and for their clients.
Okay, I love that. And then let's follow up with, we get the tools, we get the systems, we got KV Core down, we got Sky Slopes, we know the OR forms now. Those dang OR forms. Lead, when we step into lead generation, obviously there's more to this question, but are you thinking, hey, you should start doing some for sale by owner calls, you should start doing some expired calls, or you should do some cold calling, you should do some door knocking? I mean, if you're going to throw them through the ring of fire, where would you put them at?
You know, I wouldn't necessarily throw them in. I'll jump in with them. You know what I mean, JJ? But here's what I would do. And I see where you're going with this question. Here's what I do for every new agent that comes in is I tell them to get on their social media. Don't get on there and just start posting I'm in real estate. Get on their social media, direct message 5 people a day, however many you are comfortable with, because this is part of being uncomfortable, right? I tell them to get on there and direct message 5 people a day and simply say, hey, I just want to let you know, hey, JJ, I just want to let you know, I just got into real estate, man. I'm really excited. If you ever know anybody who wants to buy or sell, I would love it if you would recommend me. Hope things are going well. Talk to you soon. That's it. Just send that message out because it gets them in the habit of doing something that's creating. I found success with that because you are not directly asking them to buy or sell with us, but we're just letting them know what we're doing. You know, it's non-aggressive, letting them know what we're doing, asking them if they know anybody that may want to buy or sell. We've had success with that. We've had agents that say, you know what, my friend just told me that they actually want to try to buy. My friend let me know that they have somebody who wants to sell a house. That's the first thing I would start doing is I would have them start doing direct messages on their social media, letting their sphere of influence that they don't quite understand what that means yet, right? And what they're going to be doing with that, letting them know what they do for a living and that, they're there to help any clients they have. That's the very first thing I'd have them do. Of course, we would start getting into other lead generating, right? But it's also finding what they have a passion about for lead generating. So I believe an agent should come in, start with that with their social media, let everybody know what they're doing, that they're in real estate now, and then start off with making cold calls for your lead generating. Not the funnest thing to do. That goes with role play. That goes with a lot of stuff we're talking about today. Start with that, but then also let them know that we are going to get lined up. We need to get them lined up. I have them reach out to local agents and text those agents, let them know that they're in real estate. And if they ever need help with the open house, if they can give them a call. So it's another thing you can do as a new agent. While they're learning the cold calling, while they're learning the task of lead generating, and they're putting that to their calendar and they're doing the role play with it, I'm encouraging them to find something that they are passionate about with lead generating, because I found so many people do not like to make calls. So that's day one, first week, and then that's what I get them into. Social media. Reaching out to all of your sphere, letting them know what you do, ask them if they would like to recommend you, and then have them, make sure that their calendar set up to have them start the daily lead generating, whatever that may be. I prefer calls to create the habit of doing that. That's how I would set them up for their first, let's say, 10 days in real estate, creating those habits and having those systems in place.
Hey, Jason, I love this conceptually, and I want to simply also validate what Jason just said. For anybody who's kind of like a math nerd the way that I am, I'm going to share my calculator on the screen here. All right. And I just want you guys to see at the average job, like the job job out there, sometimes the one where someone's like, this real estate thing's not working out, I should go get a job. I'm like, hold on, let me show you about the job that you have that you just haven't been showing up to. So really quickly, most people in a job are expected to work 48 weeks out of the year. You get 4 weeks off throughout the year, 2 for sick weeks and 2 for vacation. Okay. So here's your 48 work weeks. There's 5 days in a week. Last I checked. So that means you're working 240 days a year out of 365. You actually get to take a lot of days off. That's awesome. Now in real estate, we may work weekends, but let's just pretend you're just doing what Jason said, Monday through Friday. You're DMing 5 people because you're like, that's not going to work. I tried it one time. Did you try sending 1,200 of them in a year? Because just to be clear, that's what Jason's talking about, right? 1,200. Well, what kind of a response rate could you expect? Somewhere between 2 and 4% would be my guess, right? If you're just sending a really passive message like that. So if you were just taking the 20 seconds a day to do what Jason just said, because it's cut and paste, this is not hard. All right. So let's just multiply times the 3% response rate. Means you would get 36 warm referrals per year just off that one strategy that took a few minutes a day. 36. That's 3 closings a month. The average agent right now in the United States closes 8 deals a year. So hold on, divide by 8. That means you'd be 4.5 times better than average. All right. I'm just saying, if anybody's like, well, I'm not sure if that'll work. Simple hacks sometimes are the breakthrough strategy that you needed. And I just wanted to make sure that everybody heard what a powerhouse strategy that is. And here's how you know it's going to work. I promise you, here's how you know it's going to work. When was the last time you or anyone that you know got a Facebook message saying, hey, I'm in real estate. If you happen to know anyone who needs to buy or sell, let me know. Right? I always tell the story about living at my house. Like we sold $1 million, multi-million, whatever, really nice lake house in Arizona. And nobody had ever door knocked our freaking house to say, hey, who who wants to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? And we had a community that didn't have a gate on it. I'm like, it doesn't happen. Agents are not door knocking. They're not calling their friends. They're not DMing their sphere. And if you are different, you will stand out. And Jason's just like, just do the simple stuff. Send 5 DMs a day, 5 days a week. That's 1,200 a year. You can even take some weeks off. It's awesome. I love this, Jason.
You guys, what I also add to that is that when they message people and then they follow up all that week's worth, Monday through Friday, with an open house on Saturday and post about their open house on Saturday, well, Facebook's algorithm is going to show it to all the people that they message that week because they say, oh, they have a conversation. So now you're not only asking for business, and then they're seeing you on Facebook actually out there doing the business as well. So
yeah, that's super valid. It goes beyond that too. If you then set them up in a custom friends list, then you can actually start doing content that only those that friend audience sees. You can then send them all a link that they go click on, and you can retarget them. And then they're going to see you every single day for a year on every 50,000 social apps. Like, you could do a lot with that to take it to the end zone. But the reality is you're not going to do any of that other stuff if you don't do step one.
Something to you guys, just to back up what Jason and everybody else has said. It's like this whole thing is, it's all numbers. It's like a predictable profitability game. And it's very simple. And even when the times turn or markets change, all you're doing is more of the same simple stuff. Because like in my past business, when somebody would come to the company, we'd have a similar wrap to what EXP does, a little bit higher. And I would set out to do a game plan, say, okay, we're going to figure out what you want to do and how much you want to do for the year. Then we give it a number. And you guys have probably all heard this before. We give it a number, we break it down by month, then we break it down by week, then we break it down by day. And how many hours you had to do, and how many calls you had to make, how many emails, texts, drop-bys, whatever it was. And whatever their goal was, I would guarantee them in writing that if they put that effort in and did what the plan we made was, that I would refund their entire wrap, anything they paid to the company for the whole entire year. Never once had to do it, because two things happened. They either crushed their goal or didn't do what they were supposed to do and quit. It was like, there's only two parts of it, right? That was it. It's a very simple business, honestly. It's a complicated business, but then it's simple with what you have to do every day. And those things work. Like it's all numbers. If you make enough calls and you do enough things, you cannot not get business. And if you're not getting business, then you're knowing what you need to work on, right? Because then your conversation is not correct. Because if you're making 1,000 calls a day and you're not getting anybody to talk to you, you're a jerk, or you need some training. That's all there is to it. So it leaves clues to what you're going to need to do to then make it work, because it does work. So you might not have a good conversion rate, but you'll soon get better and better and better at it. But there's a lot more to that conversation, but to me, that's how the whole business is built.
Super true. I love that, Scott. That's really smart.
That's 100%. And that's what this all does come down to. It's numbers. It's a numbers game. So Sean Kokoska, he came over to EXP. This was about 4 years ago. So I had him as my coach just after he came on. So he brought some power stuff to me. So one of the things he used to do when he had a team was he let everybody on the team know, when you come in, as soon as you've talked to 20, as soon as you've done your lead generation and you've talked to 20 people, you've made 20 contacts, you can do whatever you want the rest of the day. I don't care where you're at. But if you're on my team, that's what you have to do. Well, he said what happened is they would come in, they would stick that schedule, they'd make those 20 contacts. And guess what? They didn't go do whatever they wanted to do the rest of the day, because they talked to somebody that actually wanted to meet with them. They talked to somebody that wanted to set an appointment. They now had work to do to prepare for the next day for the appointment they're going to have, because they talked to those 20 people. None of this is rocket science. This is stuff that when times get really good for us, we kind of veer off. Some people, I'm not everybody in here, but I veered off from doing it. Things get good, we kind of veer off. Well, what happens is we're like, that roller coaster is going the wrong way now. What's happening, right? Because we didn't stick to the simple things. The reality is everything here today could take you, if you do 2 hours of lead generating, great. If you do an hour, great. Whatever it is, just time block it, do it. But all of these tasks in here could take you 4 hours of your day. You have another 4 hours to do whatever it is that you want or need to do. I'm going to share this because this was powerful. And JJ, talking about the algorithms and what Facebook does, I think there's so much in there that we could be using for our business that we still just don't even know about. So I was listening to the Expansion podcast, and Glenn, I'm going to share this first. I talked to Liz yesterday. Her and I were on a conversation, and we were talking about Glenn, and we were talking about EXP, and she said, she knows one thing. He doesn't do anything for this company unless it's purposeful, unless he knows it's going to have an impact for his agents. I agree with that. When he does these podcasts, he asked every agent on there, he said, would you consider your social media platform, your Facebook, that's what he was saying, would you consider that your CRM? And the majority of agents said, I never even thought about that. So here's where I'm going with this, because breaking those numbers down for me, Jeff, I didn't even know those numbers. And you know what? I'm like, well, you know what? That's all I got to do now. I'm just going to direct message 5 people, sell 36 houses a year, and I'll see you in Cabo, right? But when you look at social media as a database, as a CRM, how many times would you direct message somebody or message somebody or comment on their post that didn't have a good reaction, that they liked it, they commented back to you, or they did something? What he was getting at with this whole social media thing of being your CRM is that you have a higher percentage of people responding back to you on a social media network that you already have, that some of us may have 4,000 or 5,000 people on. Why are we not using that more? So, thank you, Jeff, for breaking those numbers down, because that could be powerful. If someone is struggling to make those calls, if you're struggling to do the open houses, I get it. I was there. I was afraid to do those things. I'm a big extrovert, but man, there's times where I just kind of clam up, right? So, find what you're strong at. And if it's more comfortable for you to do it through the social media platform, go ahead and do that. Just pick something, make it purposeful. And almost like what Scott was saying, it is almost a guarantee to this, because people have been doing this in real estate for so long that if you do these tasks, it will equal the success that you are after. And I say the success you are after because success means a lot of different things. So I've talked to a lot of different agents, and I want to share this. Don't worry about what you see other people that they may or may not have. We don't know where they're really at. We don't know what's going on. Just worry about where you're at. If your success, to you, if success means I'm going to sell 12 houses this year, and you sell 12 houses, you killed it, you're successful. If you say you want to sell 100 homes this year and you sell 100 homes, you killed it, you're successful. Whatever your goal is, wherever you're at in your career, your season, whatever it is that you want to accomplish, when you accomplish that, you're the most successful person I've ever met, because you've hit your goals. So that I'm going to wrap it up with that. I'm always here to help people. I want to tell everybody, I appreciate you guys coming here. This is the first time I've ever done this. And I'll tell you, when Jeff called me up and he asked me if I could do this, I said I could do it April 19th, because I thought, I could prepare, I could do this, I could do that. And he said, hey, he needs somebody. I said, you know what, let's do it. It made me think of a quote that I went back to for many, many years. It's Henry Ford. We all know it. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And I had to tell myself, I can do this. I know I can do this. And I came in, and this has been exciting. I appreciate the participation. And I love feedback, so I can bring more power for us the next time I do it. So I want to say thank you, everybody.
Well, I think that's awesome. And for anybody who wasn't here today live, I'm sorry you missed out on the live. Obviously, we're going to get a lot on the replay as well. But I got to tell you guys, what a fabulous day. These concepts, start to finish, will be your daily diet for success. And that sometimes we like to think, oh, I wish it was fancier. It doesn't need to be fancier. Success is simple, but it's about mastery of the mundane, right? If it feels like, well, that's boring, I don't want to do that every day. Yeah, so is every job. This is just a really high paying job if you can commit yourself to showing up and doing the right stuff. So absolutely love it. Jason, that was incredible. You're a rock star and you absolutely brought it. We will definitely have you back to be doing more of this with the community. Thanks for being here. And thank you to everyone, by the way. Just so you know, we've got a number of events, all sorts of cool stuff coming up. If you don't know about us or what we do, go to thecommunitycenter.com and check us out. Also, if you're just checking out eXp Realty, you're checking out the community, how we operate within the company and what we are, how we support agents. We do tons of live webinars. I think we did 150 plus last year. We have over 2,000 hours of content for our agents, online trainings, top level stuff to help you grow your business, your life, your personal, your finances, everything. And we believe that a whole person is the best kind of person. So we don't just want your business to be awesome. We want you to be awesome. Jason, absolutely everybody who's on here, you guys are terrific. You are the best parts of the community and we appreciate you. And with that, we're going to see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.